it's Sue from Snake River Stamping. Welcome to my craft room. I wanted to fix my phone so I can see if Facebook streams. I always forget to check that. I hope you guys are doing okay. How was your weekend? Mine was really busy. It was my second oldest grandson's birthday, his 8th birthday, and so we went and celebrated that. My daughter and her husband took all his friends, a bunch of 8-year-old boys, to this place where you jump on trampolines. So they did that for some time, and then we met them at a local pizza parlor where I brought balloons and some decorations and things, and his face was just so overcome with joy the whole time. It was really fun to see him so happy, because he's a pretty shy kid, and he doesn't often ask for attention or anything, but he was really pleased with his party and everything. So it was fun. I gave him his birthday card. He was so excited. He goes, "What kind of card did you make me?" And he grabbed it off the package first and opened his card, so that made me feel good. So I made him one of those little Tractor and Company cards, a month or so ago, and he was really thrilled with that. So I hope that you are making cards for your family and your friends, and doing things that bring them joy and happiness too, because it is a really good fun thing to do. I'm going to switch my camera down and share a couple things with you about today and this week. Reminding you about my specials. Remember, at $20 you start earning your own Stampin' Rewards, which you can redeem. $40 order, you start getting my card kits. And this month, my card kits, I am featuring Gathering Together Designer Series paper, and of course you get your 10% Stampin' Rewards. So you will get 4 cards, probably 2 and 2 of some of these designs. It just depends on what paper I have still going on and available. But I do all the cutting for you. You have to have your own stamps and ink to complete the cards. And that's why I left some of them blank. I showed you that some of them I did embossing, and some of them I just did some stamping. But I'll cut some leaves and things for you to decorate your cards. Oh, this one's upside down. Okay. But this is my card kit. You'll get 4 cards, okay, in your card kit. And there's 5 different designs I have going on, but like I said, it just kind of depends on what I have left. $50 order, you get the card kits and you get a PDF. This is the card that I wrote the PDF for. You'll get the PDF emailed to you, and you don't get the product, but you do get a free PDF with that level of ordering, and it features the Gathering Together. $75, you get the card kits, the PDF, you get some gems, and I have like this whole box of gems, and I'm brand new gems I'm sending out, and I'll pick something for you. And you get your Stampin' Rewards, of course. And if you could do a $100 order, you get the card kits, the PDF, the gems, and you get a brand new silicone mat. This is not a brand new one. Yours will be in a package, but these are so useful. So I still have a few of these left over. So you get the silicone mat. Remember, qualifying orders to get these things are before tax and shipping, or any coupons or redeemed Stampin' Rewards that you have. Hey, don't forget to check out our last chance list, last chance products. A lot of these things are on sale, really great sales. It's under your specials tab at the top of your menu bar, okay, on your online store. Also, on that menu tab, don't forget to look at online exclusives. They have wonderful things. Some things I featured last week. In fact, all week I did a lot of different things, but this was the card we made last Monday. If you didn't didn't get that, it was on the 15th of September. I showed you how to make this card, and it was from the Last Chance list, the Elegant Pine Snowflake Suite. And they just have so many possibilities. And last week I did a video every single day, and I featured a lot of this stuff on that. I did all Christmas things. Okay. So don't forget your online exclusives. And Paper Pumpkin. I got my Paper Pumpkin kit this week, and if you're a subscriber, maybe you got Paper Pumpkin too. Remember, they always have, it's usually at the bottom of the box, these directions, to show you one way to put these Paper Pumpkin kits together. And I did one card. That's all I had time for because I was busy doing birthday things this weekend. So I did one card. I did this first card, and you get 9 cards, stuff to make 9 cards, but you can turn those 9 cards into 18 cards by simply cutting the card bases in half, because the card bases are printed on the front and the back like this. They're printed on the front and the back. And all you have to do is cut them in half, cut them down, do whatever you want. A good person to watch is Rachel Tessman. She always does alternatives for these cards, and she is so creative. And I'm going to do some of her cards. I watched her the other day, and she came up with some really great ideas. But they always give you all the directions. They even tell you, like, I don't know if you can see this, they even tell you exactly where to put the dimensionals or the glue dots or whatever to make the card. You know, they tell you the best place to do it. They include the dimensionals, they include the glue dots, they include the stamps, they include a stamping spot, they include all the cutouts. I punch out all my cutouts and just put them in a little plastic bag so I have them all together. And so everything is in this kit. These are so fun. My grandkids like to come and make these sometimes. So anyway, don't forget that. World Card Making Day is coming on October 4th, and registration is free. You can register right now. You just go to the Stampin' Up! Website, type in World Card Making Day. Registration's totally free, and you can watch it for free. You can watch the replay for free as much as you want. It's just celebrating the art of card making. It's on October 4th, and they the last chance to register is October 3rd, and it occurs on October 4th. It's from 2 to 3 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm Pacific Time. I live in the state of Washington, so I'm at 1 o'clock. I'm an hour ahead, or yeah, behind. Mountain Time 2, Central would be 3, and Eastern Time would be 4. Depends on your time zone, but they just tell you what time it occurs in Utah, which is where our home office is for the Mountain Time, and it gives you all the information about what you can expect. If you'd like to craft along, there is a craft along box available for $32, and you can order that right now. I just ordered mine last week. So I can craft along. They give you all the training information. You can have friends come over and you can all do it together and watch it together, which would be really fun to do it together. So, oh yeah, this is the page where the item number is 166213 for the craft along box. And again, it will come with all the products you need, all the supplies, the Stampin' Spot. It will come with little stamps, everything you need for that. I've been promoting, and I must be doing a good job, well, not just me, but the Road to Christmas craft kit. It's kind of like a Paper Pumpkin. It's kind of like this World Card Making Day. This is really cute. Right now it's out of stock, but it's coming back in. In fact, I hope it'll be back in this week. Cutest little Christmas card kit. With the truck and the little dog and stuff like that. Anyway, that look for that under the craft kits. Okay. All right. That is all of my specials for today. Okay, that was that. Okay, today is Monday, September 22nd. We are going to be doing Autumn Wishes, which features the autumn trees and the amber autumn and the autumn toile DSP. So these are the two stamp sets that I'm using today. Amber Autumn I've used before, and it comes with, oh, the stamps are on blocks. It comes with stamps, it comes with dies, it comes with this beautiful die. I'm going to show you something else with this one in a little bit that I did, I'm probably going to do later this week. And this Autumn Trees comes with stamps and dies too. It comes with this really big tree die, and it comes with some smaller trees, and it comes with dies and the big tree die and these really cute little deer. I want to do something with that too. So that's what we're going to focus on today, and we're also going to use this new die set called Branching Out. I have linked all of these items. If you're watching me on YouTube, they're below me. If you're watching me on Facebook, they're above me. But I've linked all these items in there so that you'll know if you'd like to order them. They're available. I love nesting dies. I just love, love, love them. They're just so useful. And speaking of nesting dies, we're also going to use textured notes. And I've had these for a while. We're also going to use those in one of the cards we're going to make today. So the paper that we are using today is called Autumn Toile. And remember, it's spelled, I think it's a French word or something, T-O-I-L-E. It rhymes with fall, okay? Autumn Toile. So one of the papers has these beautiful, it's the mossy meadow, and it has, and white, it has these beautiful pheasants all over it. And on the other side, this is a great background paper, just kind of, you know, generic, kind of mellow. I love this one. These are the pumpkins, and I use this on the card I made as a sample today with the pumpkins. And then it's hard to see, but this is kind of a gray, I think it's gray granite and white. Again, another great background paper. Then another one are these foxes. Aren't those cute? And this is all in Cajun craze. And then it has this stripe on the back, another great background paper. And this is paper we're going to use today with the trees on it, and they're real muted. They're kind of that sepia toned, you know, old pictures like when my mom was a kid. A lot of the pictures were sepia toned. And then I always like a great grid pattern, and this is a wonderful, wonderful background for that. So this is Autumn Toile. I always take this particular package has 4 patterns in it, okay, and usually it might have maybe 5 or 6, but I kind of like this because there's 3 pages of each pattern, which is really useful to me. I like to have more of the patterns that I would like to use on cards, and so this one does have that. So there's 4 patterns, there's 3 of each, so you still get 12 sheets of paper. They're 12 by 12. I always take one sheet and I cut it up, the 12 by 12 into 4-inch strips, because that's very useful, and I just have that in an envelope sticking up in my package, and they're ready to go, because a lot of the times I need a 4-inch strip, sometimes 3 3/4, but I'll just cut off like 5 inches of it and then trim it down a little bit, and it's very little waste that way when I do that. So the card we're going to make today, and I'm going to change this a little bit. Well, actually, I'm going to try to make 2 cards today. I know. That's why I'm talking fast, because I want to make 2 cards today. So this is the one I advertised, and I am going to change this a little bit to the tree pattern, but it's going to be similar in that we're still going to use these new dies that I just showed you, these branching out dies. I can't remember the name of them, but I used the cutout to make the little, on this one, the pine cone and the little branches right here, and then these little doodads, I don't know. And I cut those out of the new metallic paper that we have, and I think that's linked below. And anyway, you can kind of see the shine on that one. Okay, so I'm going to change it just a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of stamping. I do have all these measurements typed up for you at the end, as well as being in here. But we're going to start with a very vanilla card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay. We're going to cut out our branching out die number 5, and I count from the outside to the end. So the biggest one, the largest die, is die number 1, and I go to the smallest die when I think there's 6 of them. So this was die number 5 that I cut out, and I already cut it out for us. So this was die number 5, and you cut it out of this. This is just a 3 by 4 piece of very vanilla. And then I had a piece of, what size did I use? That's my matte layer. Okay, then I cut out die number 4 on this one. I have it on my directions. And well, I should look at my directions. That would be easy, wouldn't it? Early espresso. Okay. For the branching out die number 4, 5 by 5. I did a really big piece because I thought I was going to. That's right. I forgot about this. I did cut my die out of this because I thought I was going to cut out all these pieces. So I was going to tell you to get a big piece. But I'm going to change my mind. Now, if you wanted to cut out these pieces, then you'll probably need about a 5 by 5 piece to cut out all these other little pieces out besides your branching out die. Okay, and it's die number 4. All right, so it's a little bit bigger than die number 3, right? So those are going to go on top of each other. So I love this paper with the pumpkins on it, but I decided we're going to do trees on this one. So my example has the pumpkins on it, but the one we're going to do is the trees, and we're going to do it real similar. We're going to tie a little ribbon on it and stuff like that. So, but we're going to do these sepia toned trees on this one, right? And you will need a matte layer in early espresso. I always want to say espresso, but it's espresso, and it has an O on the end. I tell you. Anyway, this is 4 by 5.5 for your matte layer, all right? So let me set these right over here, and we will just start by putting this pretty sepia tone trees on our matte layer, which is of course going to go on our card. And most of the time I'm a glue girl, because I like to be able to slide things around a little, because I never get them even the first time, it seems like. But the problem with that is I get glue on my hands, so I'm always having to wipe my hands off. And this is going to go on your very vanilla cardstock. Now, both of these are the same size, but I did make this one a tent fold. So if you want a tent fold, it's really simple. It's just 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5.5 if you'd rather do a tent fold versus, you know, the typical card. They both have the same area on that. So I'm going to glue, no, I'm not going to glue this on yet, because before I glue it on, I am going to do some ribbon. And to do the ribbon the easy way, I'm just going to tie a knot is all I put on this, because this ribbon, this is it's in all these different languages, irregular weave ribbon, and I link that in my video or in my description. I'm just going to tie a knot, and I use my spray and mist bottle because it's just the right size of diameter for my cards, so that I don't have to go all the way around the card. And I'm just going to tie a little knot around here on this bottle. I leave my ribbon on the spool when I tie my knots, tie my bows, okay, because I waste a lot less ribbon or trim, whatever I'm using, that way, okay. So I just slip that off of the handy dandy spray and mist bottle, and I get my ribbon scissors, and I do want I want this up a little bit higher, so I'm going to cut about right there. Okay, so you can see this is longer than my piece, which is great. And I'm just going to put this on the back. Now last week, a lot of the time I tape it, which is an easy way, and I was going to show you this other way to do it. I was watching Dina Raquel, and she just does it this way. She just sticks it on the dots, the glue dots, and then peels them off, which is just another way to do this. And I like having more than one method of doing things. So I do want the shorter part kind of towards the top here, but I do want it to go all the way around my card, because I'm going to put that focal point in there, and I want to do this before I glue it down on the front of my card, so you can see those glue dots keep it on there just perfectly, and you don't even see them. So I kind of like that method of doing it. Just to straighten up here, trim this one off just a little bit more. Okay, and that is going to go there, right? Okay, now to make this, I tried a couple different things. I tried stamping and masking, but I couldn't get my tree to be exactly, even with masking, it looked like the tree, it wouldn't, I couldn't get it to stamp correctly and look like the tree was behind the rocks that I want to put there. Now, I'm not going to be able to put autumn wishes on here when I do this, okay? So I am going to, what I did is I stamped the rocks on a piece of scrap of Very Vanilla, and I put dimensionals on the back. So I'm going to take, and I've got my stamps out here. So I'm going to take my tree, and I'm going to put him on there. Take this off, this block. And I'm going to use Early Espresso. I just about exclusively used Early Espresso ink. I think I'm going to grab a mat. I'm going to move that. So this is so I can put my rocks over my tree and make my tree look like it's growing behind the rocks and kind of give it um, the right look. So I'm just going to stamp that down. And that makes a nice little tree stamp. And set that to the side. And then I can put my rocks over the bottom of my tree. And they look a little bit better, like the tree is growing out of the rocks, like that. I liked that better. Okay, then I'm just going to glue this down and pop it up on my paper. It's a little bit hard to see on this mat, but I can see it. Okay. So this is going to go right on, and so it kind of keeps with the sepia toned theme, you know, doing it on very vanilla and early espresso. So I'm going to put a few more dimensionals on here. Where are my tweezers? I'm not good without tweezers. There we go. And there. Now I'm just, so since I already popped up a few things, I'm just going to glue this onto the card base because I would like it to go through the mail without extra postage. So I have to be careful how much popping up I do. Now if I'm going to hand deliver it to someone, I can pop everything up. But I am going to send this one through the mail, so, okay. So that's our card. Now, if you wanted to add a little sentiment down here or whatever, you could. But I think this is busy enough the way it is with all the trees. You know, I kind of like it that way. And we'll put a sentiment on the inside. So on the inside, I started out with 3 by 4 1/4, and I used textured die note number 3, again in very vanilla. And on this one, I used, originally it was 3 3/4 by 5, and I cut it with textured die number 2 for the background, because I'm going to make this for the inside of my card. And I believe, yeah, I took the pumpkins, and of course, well, maybe I want to do the tree, because my other card was a pumpkin card. I'm going to do the tree because I want to kind of keep it, and I'm going to do the tree off the edge on this. So before I'm going to just do a little bit of the tree over here, like that. I did pumpkins because I did pumpkin background over here. Then I did pumpkins on the inside of this one because that went together. So this one, my theme is trees, so I'll stick with that theme. And then I just glue this down and glue it, and well, I'm going to tape it. grab some Stampin' Seal. It doesn't take a lot to get this to stick. And so it's also got a nice little matte layer. I think it looks really nice. You can stamp a sentiment in there, because I would probably, I'm going to play this dangerously. I should have done this first. You could I mean, there's different greeting sentiments. You could put thanks. You could put autumn wishes. So I'm going to live dangerously here and stamp this after I put it in. I should have done it first in case I made a mistake. Oh, not too bad. Okay. Not as dark as I would like it, but it's okay. Autumn wishes and with a little tree. So there I have a sentiment, even though I didn't have one on the front. Okay. Alrighty. And how did I get ink on my nail? I don't know. It's just a magical trick I have. Alright, so this is our first card, and I will show you the measurements for this card, and then I've got another quick card for us, and I have a couple other quick cards I really want to do this week. So just stay tuned to my Facebook page and see how those, if they happen. I'm going to show them to you, and then you can encourage me to get off the stick and do it. Just do it. Okay, so these are the two examples. These are the measurements for this card, and I'll let you take a screenshot. I won't move things around. Oh, can you see it all? You don't really need to see the title. You just need to see the measurements, right? Okay. So you have very vanilla, and you can either do 8.5 by 5.5, scoring at 4 1/4, or if you want to make the tent fold, which I did the first time, that's 4 1/4 by 11, scoring at 5.5. You can use the branching out die, counting the largest to smallest, number 5, to make this part, this outline part, okay? And then textured notes die, number 3, for the inside. That was that side, okay? And a scrap for the rocks out of very vanilla. Early espresso was 4 by 5 1/4 for the outside matte layer, 3 3/4 by 5 for the inside matte layer. Out of textured notes die number 2, and 5. I said a 5 by 5 piece. If you want to cut all this stuff out, you'll need a little bit more. If you don't want to cut out all that stuff, if you're maybe wanting to do stamping, or maybe you have another idea, you'll need a little bit bigger piece of the early espresso, depending on what you decide. And I used the autumn toile paper. It was 3 3/4 by 5 on both of those, and we had the matte up here. The outside matte layer was that one, okay? And I used the irregular weave trim on both of those cards, which was, it's very neutral. It's a little stiff. You can tie it in a bow, but it's not easy because it's a little stiff. Yeah. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, so that's card number 1. All right, card number 2. This is really cute. And I'm going to use some of the streak dots, which is also linked. So this is this card, and I cased this card from Dina Ricau. She's a really great demonstrator and does a lot of really pretty things. She is so creative. And she talked the other day on one of her shows that just like everybody else, she cases cards from when she looks in the catalogs, and she looks on Pinterest, and she does a lot of swaps, and she got this idea, I think, from a swap. Okay, I put this little, I just love this metallic paper, and that we have now. It's a kind of a chocolate metallic, and it really goes well with our stuff. But I put it on here. I just stuck it in there, but then I didn't really like it, so I didn't glue it down. But maybe you'll find a great place to put this. Use this paper. It's really good. So this is the card we're going to do next. Okay, and I am going to do it pretty much just like this example that I have. I better leave my dots out there. And we're going to use these branching out dies again, and we're going to use the little from Amber Autumn. We're going to use the little acorns on that one. So what you need, again, I have this typed up at the end, is I started out with a piece of basic beige, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.5, but it's going to go the landscape way, not the portrait way. It's going to go landscape, as you can see on this example. Okay. Then I had, you're gonna need a layer to hold this DSP in place. This really works well. This was Dina's idea, and I thought this was really great. It's a little bit smaller than what the DSP comes out to, but that's on purpose. It's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and it's going to hold our DSP, and it's going to be on this layer. Our DSP that we're using is 1.5 by 4, and it's the green striped one. And we're going to be gluing that on there. And then on the back of this one, and oh, this is not from Autumn 12. This is from the Amber Autumn one, the other DSP that I was using before. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that before, but I believe I did link that. And these two are going to butt up together, and 3 3/4 by 4, which is going to be a little bit larger than what's going to hold it. Okay. Then, also from that DSP, on the other side of the leaf pattern, one of the leaf patterns that has a basic beige background, I wanted to use this as my background to stamp on. I did some stamping with an older stamp that I literally got this stamp that I stamped on just basic beige because I wanted a subtle background from a yard sale. So I don't even know where it came from. And if you want to take some basic beige, and if you have some kind of stamp, or even if you want to emboss it maybe with this the branching out die, that's fine. So I found this, and I thought, oh, that'll work great. That it's nice and subtle, and I can stamp on it, and I can put my little acorns on it. So that was 4 1/4 by 3 5/8 before I cut it out, and I referred in my directions the sizes I use. You need a basic white piece to stamp and color your acorns, 2.5 by 4. So we're going to be stamping and color that. And then on the inside, we're going to go 3 3/4 by 5, and we're going to have a 3/4 by 3 3/4 piece of that same paper. We'll bring that to the inside and just put a little stripe there to decorate that. Okay, so what we need to do is stamp and color. Let's set these things aside and hopefully keep track of them. We are going to stamp and color our acorns. stamping part's pretty easy. Getting it colored so I liked it took me a few times. So I stamp it in early espresso. Okay. And this stamp, just like always, stamps perfectly. It just very rarely makes a boo-boo on that one. And I think I'm going to put autumn wishes. I'm going to bring that one back in. I'm going to need that in a moment. So what I did is I pulled some alcohol markers, and I have light old olive and light mossy meadow is what I used. And light mossy meadow is darker than light old olive. So I usually do my dark first on my leaves and well, on most of my stuff. So I traced the veins in the leaf and I colored in a little bit where the artist did some shadowing on the leaves. I colored in a little bit of that, and I'm going to go over that with the light old olive. Now remember, this is light mossy meadow. So I didn't really use dark. I'm going to put that back so I don't accidentally grab it. I'm just going to lightly do that. Okay, so I have most of that. I think I got most of that. So then I go back in, and I usually use my brush tip to blend. So this is light old olive, and I go right on top of that light mossy meadow because I want those two colors to blend together and not look too like they're really distinctive or different than each other. And that usually works to do the dark when you want it to blend like this, and then go right over the top. Now if you find you don't like it, you can go back over it with that light mossy meadow, but I kind of like that. That looks pretty well blended, but not too distinctive. Then I use some, no, I didn't use, I used crumb cake. Didn't use it. This is light crumb cake. Light crumb cake is like really light. And I use light pecan. Maybe I use some dark, or maybe I use some dark pecan. Let me see. I should have written this down. How dark is this? Not very. Yeah. I use some dark pecan just to make, I don't like try to color in those little pecan pieces that are on the top of the nut, but I did make a little bit of line there on the pecan. That's crumb cake. I think I used, so I put a little bit of light crumb cake. No, maybe I'll do dark. I'm being so indecisive. Light pecan, okay. I'm gonna do light pecan in the shadows and going around here. Then I'm gonna do light pecan over this, over those dots, and I might have to put more dots. more light pecan. And then I'm going to do some crumb cake in the middle and over the dark pecan. I hope my heads are not in the way. I'll show you this in just a second up close. Okay. I do think I'm going to go in with a little bit more dark right in there, just to shade that. And then I'm going to come back in with dark pecan pie. I'm going to make a few more dots on those, the top of the acorns. Okay, I'll lift that up close. So that's what I did with that. Okay, and I think I forgot to cut one out, which was a huge mistake. And I don't want to shake the table, so I am going to very quickly grab, because I need this cut out, I'm going to grab the die, this die that goes with it, and I'm going to place that die carefully, and I don't want it to shift, so I am going to use some of the removable tape. And I'm going to use my mini cut and emboss, so all I need is plate number 1, plate number 2, plate number 2. So I'm going to lay this on plate number 2 and put another plate number 2 on top of it, and I'm going to lead that plate a little bit, the top plate, I'm going to lead it. You see how I lead it? Because it pulls through the embossing machine, cut and emboss machine a lot better. And I'm sparing you all the table shaking. You're welcome. I know it makes me sick too, because my cameras are hooked to my table and I can't figure out how to not do that. Okay, so there I have my little, and you notice I left just a tiny bit of white in the middle. I kind of like that. It looks like kind of a highlight, and that's going to go on this. Okay, it's going to go on here, but first I want to stamp Autumn Wishes, because Autumn Wishes is like my favorite little sentiment that they have in this set. I really like to use that. And of course I got some ink on the edge because I was going fast. I'll take that ink off. And I'm going to put it down towards the left. My head might be in the way. Trying to get it straight. Oh, not as dark as I'd like, but it's okay. It's okay. So now I can put my little acorns on there. They are so cute. These little acorns. Let's see. Yeah, here. So I kind of want to just tip them in there so they're taking up, you know, a good amount of space on what I'm going to put on my card. So I'm going to go back to my card. I have that ready. I'm going to go back to my card. Now, these two pieces go together, okay, because they're both 4 1/4. And I'm just going to flip them over, and I'm going to use the tape method to keep them butted up together and even. This is on the back, okay? And I do not need that right now. And so they're going to get glued onto this card. And you can see that that is just a smidge smaller. And that's what I want, because I don't want any of that, of this cardstock showing, but I want it to provide a stable base for those two pieces. So put that glue on the white part, and then I place this so none of that white part shows. And I'm going to put a piece of ribbon again. And this ribbon doesn't need to be very long, because I'm not going to tie anything. I don't need that jar. I'm not going to tie anything. You need about 6 inches. Yeah. Because all I'm going to do is just add some interest, some visual interest on this. I'm just going to go around this like that. And again, I'll bring in my glue dots. And I have ink on my thumbnail again. With this irregular weave, sometimes you have to kind of tear that off. And I want to put the glue dot on the other end too, because I'm going to try to get this ribbon straight there. That one worked really good. So I want my ribbon to go down the middle and be kind of halfway in between each one of those. And then I can just, when I get it even where I want it on the front, I just have to flip it over and press. And that glue dot adheres it to the back. Okay. Card base. Card base. I am going to, glue it down. I think so. So I've got that white card base on the back, and you can add a little glue to that ribbon just to make sure it sticks. But this is a really, I think this is a really pretty combination, this early espresso and old olive in here. And then we had old olive in our leaves up here, and we'll pop these up also. I'm going to put it kind of over that ribbon, a little bit lower, because I don't want those leaves going over the edge. Okay, so that goes so far. Then I'm going to add a couple of these streaked dots. These are really kind of pretty. I'm just going to use a couple small ones. Remember, slide them off so that if you pull them straight off, you'll probably lose the sticky on the bottom. And that just adds a lot to that. And then I did tie, where is that? course, it's in the last one I grabbed. I'm going to tie a little of the early espresso linen thread. I think I linked that. I can't remember if I did or not. Anyway, if I did not link early espresso linen thread, it also comes with some old olive thread. It's 165986, just in case I forgot that. And I bring in my bow tire, and I'm going to go around this a couple times. I'm going to make a double knot. I don't know how long that was, probably over 12 inches, probably 15, maybe more, I don't know. I like a nice little double knot. I'm going to cut those little ends off. You can get these bow ties on Amazon. They have a whole bunch of different types of them, and they, for those of us that are bow challenged, I would be one of them. They are super duper handy. I'm going to press that on a glue dot, peel it off. I'm just going to stick that up here at the top. Now, my my leaf up here is kind of just flapping in the wind. I'll show you a little trick with that. If you decide you want something to have a dimensional after you put the dimensionals on, peel off the top so both sides are sticky. Okay, peel off the top. And then just pull that up, stick it under there, and then press it down. And voila. Now it's firmly in place. Okay. So this is our basic white inside, which is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Our DSP was 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to glue that down in here. I just put a squiggle in the middle because I know it's going to squish out a little bit, but I don't want it to squish out all the way. I am going to leave just a touch of white showing on that edge. There we go. Just a touch of white. And you could easily stamp if you knew where your stamp was, right? Where did I put that? There it is. Ah, wrong stamp though. Where did I put? I would put a little piece of the nut stamp, the acorn, right there in the corner. I don't think I would put, I probably wouldn't put a, oh, there it is. Okay, it's right in front of me. So I'm going to go back to my early espresso, and I'm just going to put a piece of that in the corner, up in the corner. Okay. Try to get that out of the way. So this will just be in the other corner. Perfect. Okay. So I'll turn this over. I'm going to turn this over because it's got ink on it. And put a couple pieces in here. Oops, that's the one that's done. Huh, we don't need that. We need the one that's not done. Put that in there. Okay. All right. So there is our card. Now you could spray that. I would probably think about spraying that with some, if I knew where my, oh, there it is. If I knew where my spray was, here it is. I think it needs a little shimmer spray. I'm going to do that over my garbage can. Anyway, you probably can't see it, but there is shimmer now on all of that. I did like 4 spritzes of this shimmer spray that I get from Amazon. Sheer Shimmer Craft Spray. I think it's maybe $11, but it lasts for a long time because, like, I mean, I just did 4 spritzes, you know, on that to make everything kind of shiny. So let me get the directions out and talk to you a little bit about the rest of this week. I'm definitely going to need encouragement about doing this week. Card number 2. Okay, so we used basic beige cardstock on this card. 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We used white, basic white, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 for a layer of DSP, and 3 3/4 by 5 for the inside, and 2.5 by 4 for the acorns, to stamp and color the acorns. We used the Designer Series paper, Autumn Toile. It was not Autumn Toile. Let me look. Gathering Together. Yes. Gathering Together. Okay. This is wrong. Gathering Together. It was the other package. The first card was Autumn Toile. 3 3/4 by 4, early espresso. With it's really hard to see, but it's got tiny little circles on it. Can you see that? Yeah, I think you can. Okay, it's got tiny little circles. And then the other one is 1 1/2 by 4, old olive stripe, and there's some leaves on the back of that. Then basic beige and white, which was DSP, and that had, what did that have on the back? It's this one. It had the leaves on the back too. Okay, it had those leaves on the back, and this is the basic beige and white side. Okay, we had 4 1/4 by 3 5/8 branching out die number 5, and then the inside trim was 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4. And our embellishments were the irregular weave trim, about 6 inches of that, and streaked dots. Okay. All right, so that, take a screenshot of that in the cards. Anyway, it makes a really cute card. It goes really fast. I'm going to share a couple other cards with you that I would like to do this week. And I'm not sure which days. It just, I don't know, there's just a lot going on this week. But anyway, I used some of that metallic paper to cut, and I did use this on another card. I cut this beautiful die, and you have to cut the outside first, and so this is like 4 inches by 5.5 inches, and then you lay this die down and run it through. Actually, if you turn it over and run it through upside down, it runs better. And if it's not cutting well, don't forget the wax paper trick of rubbing wax paper all over it, and it definitely helps everything cut out better. But I did use that nice shiny, it's like gold, but it's a brown, and it looks beautiful. I did this one with mossy meadow behind it, and I thought that looked really pretty. Then I colored my little acorns. I used the new dies from the Christmas set to cut this out, because I wanted a big enough piece to put this on with Autumn Wishes, Blessed to Have You in My Life on the inside. Anyway, that turned out really cute. So that's one of my ideas for this week. And this one I got right out of the catalog. This is another Christmas card using that beautiful shaded spruce ribbon and some of the dyes and things that go with that. Anyway, this is another one I want to do this week. So make some comments and encourage me to get these two cards done this week. And well, I've got them done. I just need to make some more stuff and type up some directions. Anyway, so let me switch. Thank you for joining me today and sticking with me for both of the cards that we made today. I hope you liked them. I mean, there's just so many beautiful, beautiful ideas and cards out there. It's really hard for me to even pick what to do because there's so many great ideas. And I usually change it, maybe a little something to suit what, number one, the products I have. I mean, because I don't always have all the products that they list or they use on their cards. So, and I always like embossing a lot. And so I tend to emboss things maybe more than some demonstrators or people that are making cards do. I'd like to remind you that in October, I think starting October 1st, there's going to be a join special, joining Stampin' Up. And joining Stampin' Up doesn't mean you have to do the teaching part of it. You don't at all. And I would never pressure you to do that ever, ever, ever. But joining gives you some advantages because number one, you start right out of the gate getting a great deal on buying your starter kit. And a starter kit's usually $125, and the normal sale on that is $99. And they pay the shipping. But next month they say they're going to have a join special, so they're either going to put more value in that kit, it'll be over 125, or they'll make it cost. They'll probably put more value in, is what I'm guessing is what they're going to do. I mean, I haven't seen it personally, so I don't know, but that's usually what they do is they put more value in it. So it'll be more product that you pick out, and you pick everything you want, right down to the dimensionals or whatever you want, paper, anything, bundles. And then after that, you get 20% right out of the gate. You get 20% off, even on sale items. Like last week, we had stamps on sale for 15%, and I ordered some more because I got the 15% off the stamps, and then I got my demonstrator discount on top of that. So even when things are on sale, you still get your discount. And like I said, you don't have to sell a thing. You can just be a discount shopper and be happy with that. So think about that, and wait till October because they're going to have a join special. And so if that sounds like you order quite a bit of things, and you're happy with Stampin' Up products, then maybe that's for you. Maybe getting a discount would be nice for you. Thank you for joining me today. I will certainly try to get these other two cards done this week, and just watch my Facebook page, and I will have I'll announce what day and time. You can always watch the replays, whether it's on Facebook. They last for 30 days, and then on YouTube they last forever. So you can watch them on either platform. So thank you for joining me today. It was delightful, and I'm glad you were with me.